I've never seen a man hate his race so much than Clarence Thomas. Like, what is wrong with you, bro? The door was open for you and he just shut it down for everyone else. Locked, bricked, everything. If you're not white, he does not want you. My boy, like, are you seeing yourself in the mirror? Like,
Supreme Court. Supreme Court. 6 of you are going to pay. Because the blood stains on your black robes will never wash away. Your seeds will never harvest. Only shame will trickle down. You'll go down in history, but only for worshiping a clown. Oh, yes. You worship a clown. All that pomp and circumstance. You worship a clown. It will trickle down to your own. What's up?
Thank you. I want to thank my boy here for putting this out there. Thomas, Clarence, why do we never see you? I always look at you in that panel and say, this guy's going to represent us. You know, he's going to represent the black people. He's going to represent the minority people. But you're not. You never do. And I hope you get this fucking message this man is sending out, because I'm glad somebody's saying it. You are a disgrace to black people. You are a disgrace to every minority population in this state, in this country. You have never stood up for the black people. You have never, ever donated. You have never done anything to benefit the black community. And I wonder why you're there. What do you represent? Because Sonia Sotomayor represents the Spanish people. Even if you would have voted towards saving this act, they still would have fucking won. But no. Listen to this message. I hope you get it.
This message is for Justice Clarence Thomas. You are a piece of shit. We know you hate the black community, but the black community hates you even more. You had the nerve, as black as you is, to vote down the Civil Rights Act, knowing you grew up in a time where you saw how white people were treating black people, but yet you somehow think you a fucking white man. They only using your dumb ass to get shit like this done. You think they give a goddamn about you? You think when they see you, they think of you as one of theirs? You black as they get, but yet you does nothing to help the black community. You don't go to black towns and speak to them. You don't donate to no black causes to make black lives better. What you do is you take your black ass on them yachts with them rich white men and eat the good food, drink the best wine, have them pay for homes, 250,000 homes, give you homes, because they know you're going to always vote with the white man. How is it possible that you grew up in the era of Jim Crow, when you saw they didn't want black people to vote at all, when you saw black people getting hosed down, beaten by dogs, put in jail, beaten, but yet when you become a justice, everything that you fucking does is for the white man. So we know you hate us, but we hate you even more. And when I talk to the youngsters in the program that I be having, I show them a picture of a black man of not to be. Don't ever be Justice Clarence Thomas. He is the coon of all coons. And you done did it, my brother. You done gave the white man everything they wanted. You done gutted the health care. You done gutted the Civil Rights Act. You trying to take away gay marriage. Every fucking thing that helps the black community, your black ass votes down. How long you got, man? Ain't you about 80, 90 years old? How fucking long do you got, man? Because we are sick and tired of you. And this was the icing on the cake when you voted with them white people to shoot down the Civil Rights Act. Some shit Martin Luther King fucking died for. And you was in there.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you are doing great from wherever you're watching this video from. As you know, I'm your host and presenter here, Judicial Stories. Now, Thomas Clarence is a problem to the black community. He is a menace to the black community. This is a person that has garnered black support to be where it is. And he has served America for a long time. But the biggest betrayal that he has done is to vote down against the civil rights. Understanding the importance of the civil rights and how it made black people fight for their rights. It made black people to stop all those crazy things that were happening to black people. But he goes ahead and votes against the civil rights because he wants so much to be liked by white people. So many times we have seen people with self-hate. People that think that white people are greater than black people. And this is a perfect example, Thomas Clarence. And black Americans are sending a warning to Thomas Clarence. They are trying to warn him that whatever you're doing will one day calm down, and don't come for black people to help you. Because majority of times we have seen black people go astray and support white people. 90% of the time they usually come back and say that, oh, black people, have mercy on me. I never knew what I did wrong, you know, blah, 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 all those things. But Thomas Clarence is a perfect example of black betrayal. Some black people betray black people. And that's why they say not all skin folks are kin folks. Because this is a person that represents black people. Like it should represent black people as expected. But if you see Eve voted against the civil rights movement, you understand what he is subscribing to, or whoever is trying to support with, you know, that type of thinking or with that type of idea. Now you get to see the truth. You get to see how he thinks. You get to see how he sees things. But this is just a perfect description of betrayal. It's a perfect description of betraying your own skin folks and all kin folks. He knows, as a matter of fact, the problems that black Americans have gone through. But this is just a slap on the face. This is just disrespectful. This is just so betraying, so heartbreaking for black people to have to deal with somebody like Thomas Clarence. And now all of America is calling him out. Black people are calling him out. Brothers and sisters, I want us to watch this video. Then I'll be back. I'll be giving my 2 cents in regards to this. And for those who are watching me for the first time, you know, I'm asking you to please subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and really get to what I can offer you. For those who are always coming back, subscribing to my channel, watching my videos, man, I'm really, really grateful for all the support that you all give me. So let's watch the video. I'll be back.
That era, and you saw all that shit, but yet your black ass still voted down the Civil Rights Act. So the community will never see you. We never saw you in the community. We will never see you because you're too busy cozying up to the rich white people. But you're going to go down this history, Justice Clarence Thomas, as the worst black man of all time. That's why we hate you black Republicans. You're always going against black folks. You have nothing to offer the black community. None of y'all. Tim Scott, Byron Donalds, y'all have nothing to offer the black community. Y'all are the most dangerous people to the black community, and this shows it, Justice Clarence Thomas. So I'm sick of this man, y'all. I don't know if y'all sick of him, but I surely am sick of these black Republicans. So please, y'all, follow me on YouTube at Boosie Sanders as I transition off this app. Because this app ain't what it used to be. So please follow me, y'all. Just go over to YouTube, go to Boosie Sanders and follow me over there, because you're going to get most of my content. But as of now, fuck all you black Republicans. Fuck all y'all.
I don't think that there is a bigger downgrade in black history than from Thurgood Marshall to Clarence Thomas, who decided on the 70th anniversary of Brown versus Board of Education, the legislation that literally said that separate but equal was not constitutional. This guy would have the audacity to pipe up and leave a bad review. Mind you, his rebuke comes at a really interesting time. According to Axios, Thomas attacked the Brown decision in a concurrence opinion that allowed South Carolina to keep using a congressional map that critics say discriminated against black voters, which is really on brand for the Supreme Court's version of Uncle Ruckus. If you know, you know. Why it's also really interesting timing. Remember how I said that Clarence Thomas was Thurgood Marshall's replacement on the Supreme Court? It was, in fact, Thurgood Marshall, the first black Supreme Court justice, who was the lead lawyer in the Brown case. Going back to attempt to undo what your predecessor did, not beating the Uncle Ruckus allegations.
America has only been a true democracy since 1965. And we are reverting back now. We're reverting back. And the fact that this man was one of the Supreme Court justices who voted for this is a travesty. How is he still on the bench? How? 38 destination vacations, 26 private jet flights, all paid for. Luxury yachts. This man has been living it up in his 35 years on the court. From 1998 through 2003, Thomas accepted 42,200 in gifts, making him the top gift recipient on the court at the time by about $36,000. No one was even close. After the LA Times highlighted these gifts in 2004, Thomas stopped reporting them on his financial disclosure forms. He just stopped reporting them. The corruption runs deep. A disgrace. A disgrace. When I watched the movie Get Out, all I could think about was this man right here. I thought it was about him. I thought it was a documentary about him.
Clarence Thomas had no problem walking through every door that was created for him because of his race. And that gratitude is followed by him shutting the door behind him for everybody else.
Today was not such a good day for me. Everything was just going wrong. I get home, I get on social media, and I see that the Supreme Court has struck down parts of the Voting Rights Acts that specifically would kill like the black vote in the South. Now, I'm not affected per se because that blue dot that you see on that map in Georgia is Atlanta. But still, it's just like, I wonder, do people who are not black understand how it must feel for us walking every day through life, realizing that people hate us simply for breathing air and that our skin is darker. Like, I can't now, different people, women get hate, Asians get hate, Hispanics get hate, but the hate with the vitriol that people feel for black people, what did we ever do to y'all? What did we ever fucking do to deserve the hate? And added on to that, I haven't said much about it. I haven't said anything about it, the whole Clay and Meg situation. And it's not that, it's parasocial or anything. It is the reaction that I have seen from men who look like me and the things that they have said, and hearing white supremacy come out of a black mouth, and seeing today a black man vote to strip black people from their votes, it has been too fucking much. It has been too much to hear white supremacist talking points and ideologies coming out of a black mouth has been too much for me today. And as a black woman, I'm constantly asking myself, where is a soft place to land? And I never get a fucking answer.
Just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, one man reminds you of how much worse the US is about to get. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas just said precedent, you know, those past rulings that make the law consistent, might just be, quote, something someone dreamt up and others went along with. That's like your teacher saying, the rules about grading, just vibes. Basically, he's saying all the old laws and past decisions might not matter anymore. You thought the law had rules? Nope. It's improv now. He even said precedent shouldn't be treated like the gospel, which is kind of funny coming from a guy who's supposed to treat the Constitution like it's the Bible. But that word gospel is important because it means he thinks all the old rulings aren't sacred. So things you thought were settled, like marriage equality, voting rights, even how the government works, those could all get reopened. Imagine playing Monopoly for 200 years and suddenly the banker goes, you know, free parking? I don't believe in it anymore. That was just something someone dreamt up. And this comes as the Supreme Court is set to review whether the president should be able to fire agency officials whenever he wants, basically deciding if the White House gets to be the boss of everyone, no questions asked, whether state voting maps can still be drawn in ways that dilute black voting power, so whether your vote actually counts depending on where you live, and whether states can stop licensed therapists from performing so-called conversion therapy on minors, which somehow has to be argued all the way to the Supreme Court in 2025. In short, they are taking on cases that could reshape who holds power, who gets a voice, and who gets protected. This court could basically start saying that old rule doesn't feel right. Let's make a new one, which is fine if we're talking about board games, but this is actual law. The whole point of following precedent is so that every time the court changes players, the rules don't change. Otherwise, it's chaos. So yeah, when Clarence Thomas says old rulings aren't gospel, what he really means is, buckle up. The Supreme Court might be about to remix America's laws like a bad DJ with too much power and no headphones. Let me know in the comments how you're planning on getting through the next 3 years, because honestly, I'm all out of ideas.
If I could go back in time and stop my 11-year-old self from writing that report about Clarence Thomas and how much of an inspiration he was to me and young African-American children all around the country, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Because everything I wrote in that report feels like a bald-faced lie right now. Because what I wrote about was the idea of Clarence Thomas. You know, I wrote about the fantasy of Clarence Thomas. But Clarence Thomas is the reason why so many black Americans use that turn of phrase, not all skin folk are kinfolk. If you want a frame of reference for exactly who somebody like Clarence Thomas is, watch Django. Watch Samuel Jackson's character. That's Clarence Thomas. For someone to take advantage of every opportunity presented to them, allowing him to climb from the meager beginnings that he started with to the highest court in the land, to sit there and be the second black man to serve on the Supreme Court after someone like Thurgood Marshall, knowing everything that someone like Thurgood Marshall did for the progress of the black community, whether it was him being a Supreme Court justice that upheld the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act, whether it was him being somebody that fought for the ruling of Brown versus Board of Education. The legacy that someone like Thurgood Marshall left on this country, it is insulting to compare someone like Clarence Thomas to him. Because Clarence Thomas has very clearly decided that every opportunity afforded to him should not and will not be afforded to other people in his own community. Clarence Thomas and a lot of people like to say that, you know, not all Black Americans are Democrats, you know? He's one of those people that I'm sure talks about the Democratic plantation and how we're all not a monolith. Not all Black people are Republicans, and we all don't need to fall in line with the Democratic Party. Well, guess what? The Democratic Party is not currently in 2026 trying to take our rights away. And before I hear any of you talk about this whole Democrats were the ones who started slavery, and Democrats were the ones who did this, Democrats did that, when you know for a fact that there was a party switch based off the civil rights movement in 1965, and you know for a fact that because the Democrats of that time knew they were not going to succeed politically if they did not switch to Republican, then I really don't know why we even engage in these conversations. Because if you ignore that fact, you're telling me that you're somebody who is disingenuous. You're telling me that you're somebody that does not truly care about the Black community thriving here in America. And you, just like Clarence Thomas, are perfectly okay with getting whatever small opportunities are given to you and watching the rest of us have them taken away. Because you think that you're one of the good ones and you're never going to run into the consequences that the rest of us run into. But I guarantee you will. And I guarantee Clarence Thomas will. If these people get any and everything they actually want from our government and from this society, Clarence Thomas will be thrown right out with the rest of us. And I'm sure he will be just as confused as to why this is happening to him when he played a significant role in denying us our proper representation.
All I can really think about saying about the Supreme Court's decision yesterday with the Voting Rights Act is this didn't happen overnight. Republicans have been chipping away at this for years. Certain events definitely played in their favor. And all that chipping got to the point where they were able to get a conservative supermajority on the court. Roe v. Wade got overturned because of it. And now this happens. And I guess I'll end this video by saying, I bet Clarence Thomas wakes up every morning and looks in the mirror and is upset that he sees a Black man looking back at him.
I just want you all to know I am so angry by this Supreme Court decision that has effectively gutted the Voting Rights Amendment, stripping away political power for so many Black and brown people across this country. And let me tell you why it's personal to me. Because here you see my dad, Henry, who in 1965 marched from Selma to Montgomery to protest voting rights discrimination. My dad, Henry, wrote this essay to talk about his experience, how when he got to Alabama, he was met with armed federalized troops, how as he marched, he was called the N-word and so much more. And all of it was because he believed, like I do, that every American should have equal access to the ballot box. And I can tell you that I lost my dad in November of last year as I'm on this journey of running for the United States Senate. And my dad today is likely rolling over in his grave at the thought that this Supreme Court is not only rubber stamping this president's authoritarian agenda, but they have rolled back 60 plus years of progress that people like my father have fought for. And I can tell you, when I get to the United States Senate, I'm going to fight to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And I'm always going to fight for your right to vote.
Leveling up your wife or partner is a theme that is constantly shown in fiction, such as The Wolf of Wall Street, but Justice Thomas might have done it in real life. Before any of his power on the United States Supreme Court, there was Kathy Ambush. When asked why he married her, he said, "Because she was the first woman that was nice to me." They met in college and he proposed during his junior year of college, and they married a day after graduation. They then moved into student housing for married couples while he attended Yale Law School. Right after Yale, Thomas is struggling with job offers and he keeps getting rejection letters. He blames affirmative action and puts a 10-cent sticker on his Yale law degree and says that is what this is worth, and to this day he still has a stack of rejection letters. The couple has a son very early on in their marriage, and they are struggling financially, and he has a lot of debt. There are rumors that he would use his student loan money to drink. He moves the family to Washington to pursue a career possibly in government. In his own words, he says, moving to Washington had done nothing to ease the dissatisfaction I felt with my marriage. I hated myself for my inability to be the loving, devoted husband Kathy deserved. I grew despondent and resigned. I drank heavily than ever before. I knew I was on the road to trouble. During this period, there is a relationship between him and another woman. She claims it became intimate during the divorce proceedings. However, to find someone so quickly after your marriage when your divorce is not even finalized, I don't know, it raises some eyebrows to me. She has described him as someone that is willing to do whatever it takes to get to success. Essentially, a Slytherin. Also recently has came out and said that he used to be into really weird things sexually, and they used to explore that together, which has more to do with the Anita Hill controversy. I digress. Anyway, he left his first wife in 1981 and the divorce was finalized in 1984. They had spent over a decade together, and as his career was finally starting to move, he abandoned her. He then meets Ginny Thomas, and he marries her in 1987, 3 years later. He marries her within months. Thomas also used to be against interracial marriages himself, yet he is now in one and has been ever since he married her. They also decided not to have any kids together because he felt it would be too difficult for him to be on the court and have a child. They did adopt his nephew as his own son. However, now they are estranged from the nephew and he is facing charges in prison. The nephew has come out and said he wishes they would talk to him, but they don't even check in on him, and he has barely seen them even though they technically raised him. However, this couple, I guess they're a match made in heaven because she was very against women's rights and the liberation of women, while he is very against movements for Black people. So if you think about it, they fit together pretty perfectly if you ignore the contradictions that is Justice Thomas's life. He used to support Malcolm X. He was fond of MLK. He was against interracial marriage. As for his wife, when she got married to Justice Thomas, she did not even tell her family she was marrying a Black man. But one of her family members said, "Oh, once we got to know him, we realized he's good." However, she isn't as contradictory as Justice Thomas is. So yeah, there's a story of our power couple on the US Supreme Court. Behind every successful man is a wife he abandoned.
Okay, y'all, let's talk about how Clarence Thomas benefited from affirmative action throughout his career. We know Clarence Thomas was a major player in the Supreme Court's ruling to end affirmative action at colleges today. But did you know if it wasn't for affirmative action, he wouldn't be where he is today? I want to give a shout out to Bishop Talbert Swan for detailing Clarence Thomas's career here. Let's read. Clarence Thomas was admitted to Holy Cross in 1968, in part because the school was actively looking for Black students. He was admitted into Harvard Law School in 1971, right after it adopted the race-conscious admissions policy, but chose to go to Yale at the exact moment it created its first explicit affirmative action program with a goal of 10% minority enrollment. Thomas was one of 12 Black students in the class of 175. His application was evaluated separately, and he received special consideration because he was Black. When Thomas left Yale, he was hired by John Danforth, the Attorney General of Missouri. Danforth admitted it was because he was seeking to have a diverse office, and that Clarence Thomas was hired because he was Black. Thomas left Danforth's office to work for Monsanto at the time when the company was looking to hire Black lawyers. He went back to work for Danforth when he was a U.S. Senator and was looking to diversify his staff. He then went to work for Reagan's Department of Education and was offered the job in part because he was Black. He then became chairman of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, a position that 6 Black women turned down before he accepted it. You see, in my opinion, this is what happens when you become successful and Republican. You forget how you got to where you are, and you forget your people who are still striving to achieve greatness. You see, great men like George Washington Carver did not have affirmative action like Clarence Thomas. Despite George Washington Carver's good grades, scholarship, he was rejected because of his race. And I can hear some of you now saying, well, he still was a great man and he made it. Yeah, but look how hard he had to try. And look how hard our kids coming along will have to try in order to make it. And even if the colleges take off the race off the application, what's going to stop these colleges that don't have any oversight now from discriminating against somebody's name that sounds African American?
I didn't get a chance to speak out against, the situation with the Voting Rights Act, and the Supreme Court justices. But one in particular, Clarence Thomas. The fact that this man is a black man, and as we know, he probably grew up in the most difficult time and watched his black people suffer and go through things not even imaginable. And for him to vote with those other 5 justices to come for the Voting Rights Act, I don't understand that. I don't understand it. And the look that I would have for him if I saw him.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you are doing great from wherever you're watching this video from. Again, I'm your host and presenter Jane Stories. Now, it is so sad that we still have black people that will not even think. They will instantly betray their own people. They will instantly betray black people. And we have seen them for a long time, from black artists, some black influencers that, they have been given some handouts to, talk negatively about black people. Of course, at the end of the day, they're going to get something because it's an agenda that is being pushed. So at the end of the day, they're going to be getting something at the end of it. But the biggest question is, do you think is it worth it for you as a person who understands the struggles that black people have gone through? Because for you to be in that position that you are in, it means that you understand the challenges, that you understand the problems that black people have been going through for the longest time. So it is so much ironical to put black people in this situation to begin with. So I really don't know what you all think about this, but I just want to know what you all think about this, because this is a broad daylight betrayal. For 400 years, America had affirmative action. It was called whites only. In the 1960s, black Americans finally got access, and overnight affirmation action became a discriminatory policy. And that's something. It is something. Clarence Thomas has never been black. I watched his confirmation hearing. He was a staunch Republican then, and still very conservative to this day. He does not recall that many of his achievements were granted only because he was given affirmative action advantages. He is the epitome of an all they cooked Anita for standing up. My black sisters and brothers, Clarence Thomas hates himself so much that he hates the reflection of black people. Was the people of the earth whom they label minority must stop looking for the traitor of our people as though they are friends, right? So there's so many things that are going on right now, and people are talking about it because first, Thomas Clarence opposed affirmative action, and we all know what this means. Affirmative actions simply means including the minority groups, including the rarely people that people don't even look so much about, including women, minority groups like black people, Hispanics. Now, critics argues that Thomas pulled up the ladder behind him after benefiting from affirmative action to attend Yale Law School. He maintains that such programs are demeaning and patronizing, and that Constitution must be colorblind. You hear that? It's crazy. It's really crazy that we are talking about this right now. Also, he has been a vocal critic of the Voting Rights Act, specifically advocating for the removal of protections against racial gerrymandering and voter suppression, which many see as direct assault on black politicals. We'll see what this dude is trying to do, right? Thomas frequently emphasizes individual effort and argues that white racism is no longer an insurmountable obstacle. Critics find this dismissive of persistent systemic inequalities and historical context. Also, and the main thing, the attacks on civil rights leadership. Now, throughout his career, he has criticized traditional civil rights organizations like the NAACP, once claiming that their leaders do little but complain. Rather than encouraging self-sufficiency. Also, as the second black man to serve on the court, many expected him to continue the civil rights legacy of his predecessor, that's Thurgood Marshall. But instead, his deep conservatism is viewed by some as betrayal of the symbolic role. And indeed, that's a huge, huge red flag. That's a huge betrayal, especially from the black community. It's a big betrayal. It's a huge betrayal. And people are not taking it lightly, right? So, please let me know what you all think about this video. As you know, I'm your host and presenter, Judicial Stories. But until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.